just joined, so that makes 10. So
Cool.
we're more than good. And he's wearing a red sweater for the season, or sweatshirt, or something red. Yeah, looks very nice.
Or he's been painting his chest.
Okay, we have verification. Let's get to any changes or additions to the agenda we need to talk about quickly. Okay, I sent a note out saying that we seem to have a difficulty finding the next meeting date, which was scheduled to be the 23rd, but several people can't make the 23rd. So I started looking for another date, and a couple people said that Monday night, the 24th, is not good. That's the Manchester rehearsal. So that probably leaves us the Friday night, the 28th, or Saturday, and the only time I can do Saturday would be the morning, and or Sunday night, the 30th. Anybody have a preference?
I'm unable to do the 9 a.m. on the 29th.
You don't get up that early, Diane?
Yes, I wish.
All right, do you want to just make it the traditional Sunday night and make it the 30th?
Sure.
Okay.
Good with
Yep.
everyone? Okay,
Okay. I will send out an invite for that.
thank you.
At 7.
And the way I stated it on the agenda, I just wanted to have a question about about next year's meeting dates. Is if Sunday night is appropriate, we'll just schedule them out.
All the way through.
20th of February would be the one for February, and then in March, we have a combined board meeting and HOD meeting. So I'll take a look at the rest of the year later, unless someone has a request and or complaint. Being none, let's move along. Approval of the minutes. Anyone have comments, questions,
You're good.
regards?
And I added Andrea's last name, so that's all. So that should be all better too.
I mean, Steve and I are drinking out of the same mug.
Coffee. I don't know what you're drinking.
I'm drinking Gatorade, actually. Okay,
Okay.
nothing on the minutes?
And hearing no objections, we'll mark them as approved.
Okay, Glenn, anything else from you?
Nope, it's been a quiet month. Show clearances wise and stuff like that. But
As expected.
Yeah.
All right, we won't have a treasurer's report, but did you all get John's email about a couple hours ago? I don't know there's much that we can do other than absorb it, but anybody have anything you want me to talk to John about on that email? I did say to John that I'm concerned, as I know he is, and several others, about expenses and the way things go and so forth and so on. Nothing at this point I'm aware of has been done about any changes to anything, but do want to take a look at that after the first of the year, probably at the next board meeting, to make sure that we don't fall into a trap of spending money that we shouldn't be spending or don't need to spend. But other than that, I don't have anything else to say financially, I guess. Could be the world's quickest board meeting.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten Alan. All right, well, moving right
Okay.
along. Let's go to just follow up on the convention that we had. I know John's note mentions there are still expense monies coming in. I guess my complaint about being the president and approving expense money is always after the fact. There's not a whole lot I can do. It's really a formality, and I don't believe it should be. You know, if something's in the budget, then it's spent and it's in line with the budget. I don't, you know, I think we need to take a look at that down the line. Why would I be approving, you know, an expense for the van for the judges after the money's already been spent? What am I gonna do? Say, no, Alan, you gotta pay for it out of your own pocket?
Oh, but it was in the budget.
That's what I'm saying. So, but
Yeah.
if it's in the budget, then
I agree.
okay. Bob, anything you want to follow up on?
No,
Good. Uh, Alan, anything that, no?
Nope.
Okay. That's it.
I do, Mike, I do have a question. Nobody heard anything about any case of COVID coming out of the convention, right?
nothing.
Good.
Nothing.
Okay, good. Success.
Mhm.
Yep. All right, let's go to Mr. Ed. And we had a meeting on December 10th,
Right.
and take it away, Ed.
Okay. I submitted the minutes of that meeting to those who were in attendance. So I never heard anything back. So I assume they're correct and I didn't miss anything. I'll just highlight a few key points from the meeting, and then I will send these minutes to Glenn
Okay.
after we're done tonight, and he can attach them to the official minutes of this meeting. The biggest question we had to deal with was when to have our joint concert with the symphony up there in St. John. And originally this was scheduled for Thursday night before the convention started. And since the symphony and the Imperial Theater were not available that night, we asked if it was available, or they said it was available on Sunday at the end of the convention. So after we polled the district members and those who were most likely to attend the convention, a high percentage of them would participate as singers in that concert, and a lot of them also would attend the concert. We decided to go ahead with it, so the joint concert will be on Sunday, sometime in the afternoon. That means that people who are coming up making a vacation will probably leave a day later rather than getting there a day earlier, and nobody seemed to have any big objections to that. So that was the biggest thing. Everything else seems to be going along all right. We reviewed the costs and the finances and everything. No changes were made based on our previous assumptions from the 2020 planning that we had done. We reviewed some of the scheduled events, and the new schedule has been sent out to everybody. Everything else is sort of sitting on hold, waiting on certain things. Now that we've decided to go with the concert, Mike will be contacting and has contacted. We have a possibility of having Joe Cerruti as the director for the joint concert. And he'll be working with the symphony and his contact peoples up there to put together the program for that show. It might include some of our better district quartets that'll be there. Nothing, no updates on Harmony College courses or community outreach yet. The other big thing that came out of this meeting was the possibility of obtaining the services of an AIC quartet for the weekend. They will do outreach, go to schools, things like that, or do just about anything we want them to do, any other kinds of activities we'd like them to participate in, and that would all come as will all be paid for by Harmony Foundation. So Mike and I and Mike Savard will be talking about, we've bandied about a couple of AIC quartets that we'd like to request, and we'll see what happens. So that could be another big draw for this convention. I'm sure they'll perform at some type through the convention. We are planning to go with the district-wide banquet on Saturday night, which is something we haven't done as a district, but something that is unique to the Sunrise Division, followed by the NEDAC show, and possibly a performance from an AIC quartet at that point. So I think things are going along well. And like I said, I could rather than go through all of the things, I think those are the highlights of the meeting. And I'll send these minutes to Glenn, and he'll have them for this meeting. Anybody have any questions?
I was not able to get the Buffalo Bills at,
Did you try?
I did.
Okay.
My only question is the change of date for the show from Thursday to Sunday, is that official? Because I made a mention, it was a possibility of that happening at last Sunday's chapter president's meeting.
Mhm.
I wondered if we don't need to vote on it. It's just something that happened, and it's quote official.
Right. Well, we sort of approved it at the committee meeting last week, and Bob would be the one with the contracts, and he would know.
I have a contract for the Imperial Theater for that Sunday.
Okay.
I'm waiting. I have to send Mike the contact for the symphony, for the New Brunswick Symphony. With my contact at the theater, I asked them to kind of forward us on to the symphony orchestra, and I have emailed them, but I haven't gotten anything back, and I don't know the name of the person. I've been trying to go through my records, but I'm expecting to get a email back from the person who handles the symphony, and as soon as I do, I'll pass that on to Mike.
Okay.
We have the theater at this point for sure. I have the contracts. I haven't signed them yet, but I have them.
Do we have a time set for that Sunday afternoon?
The 2:00.
Okay.
Question?
Steve, go ahead.
Just quick question, just in terms of dates and what's going to be happening in terms of travel and all that kind of stuff. So do you think that people are going to stay an extra night Sunday, or do you think that after the concert, everyone's going home?
I'm sure it'll be half and half, or some portion thereof.
Okay. So, but there's no programming at all on Thursday.
Not at
Correct.
this time. No.
Okay.
Nope.
Just want to get it right.
Yep.
Bob, is that 2:00 start cast in stone?
No,
I wonder if, Ed, we might want to consider, I mean, just an hour early, it could make a big difference for a lot of people.
That might not be a bad idea.
1:00.
1:00.
1:00.
Yeah, let's shoot for
Yeah.
that.
Well, you want to consider rehearsal time too,
Right.
which would be Sunday morning.
Right. So if you did that at 11 or whatever, that's still,
Okay.
Yeah, we're not
But-
planning anything right now that would require like our presence. We're not going to do a board meeting or anything, as far as I know. This is just going to be convention kind of stuff. So
Just remember last time the schedule was, the chorus was going to get together for a period of time, and then we were going to be dismissed, and they were going to work with the orchestra, and then we were going to come back. So it's not just the chorus rehearsals, it's a chunk of time that'll be needed.
yeah,
right.
okay.
And I don't think any of us are going to want to be up at Sunday morning for a 7:45 chorus rehearsal, so.
You might also want to consider, if you make it too early in the afternoon, you might not have much of an audience. People that went to church in the morning may not be able to make it for 1:00 in the afternoon. It would be good if we could make some money on this.
Okay, other feelings? I was looking at it more as, yeah, I want a lot of people there. I'm not as concerned about, believe it or not, I'm not as concerned about the money as I am as the success of it, but My planning the last time when we were gonna have it on Thursday is that we needed to be in the hall as far as I could remember. Couldn't get in there before 5 o'clock for I believe it was a 7:30 show or 8 o'clock show. So that's kind of what I'm basing this on. If we back it up from 1 o'clock to, even if we had to meet at 10 to rehearse, we'd still be there for a long time if you're a singer, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock or whatever. So to Doug's point, maybe the audience would like it later. Anybody else have a comment on that?
How many people responded to the afternoon show that said they would stay over? There was
There were 180 or so people that responded, and like 75% of them said that they would stay.
Oh, good.
And participate.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, the numbers were great. Were very good. I was surprised.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I guess I'm Doug. What I'm trying to do is figure out that if people want to attempt to leave after the show and go home, is it feasible if there's an 8-hour drive or whatever?
I understand that. I just thought I'd mention that. The auditorium will hold 800 people. If you could put 800 people that are in charge of admission, you'd be making quite a bit of money. That's just my thought. And I understand you guys don't want to be caught up here too long.
Well, and Mike, most of us, the trip home, probably a good half of the district, it's more than 8 hours anyway. So even if my plan was to spend 3 hours heading south sometime afterwards, because I'm not going to make it home in one day anyway.
Others? Steve?
I just want to make sure that we have available rooms for Sunday night.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, because I'm just trying to set up what the presentation is going to be on the website and for later promotions, but I want to nail this so that all possibilities are covered. So let me know. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I'm not sure that an hour difference is going to make a big difference one way or the other in whether or not
Agreed.
people want to get out afterwards. But I have no idea of gauging what the audience will look like or how many people we would get. We were hoping that this would be a community type event and we'd get a lot of people from the community to attend this, especially the patrons of the symphony who might sign up for their season program and things like that. So, and I have no way of knowing what the best hour would be. So, if there was any indication or any kind of information we'd have on what would give us the better turnout, that's what I would go with, whether it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Why doesn't talk to the theater people and find out what their experience is with the timing of a Sunday show?
Yeah, because I know that here in Providence, a lot of matinees are at 1 o'clock, but they also have them at 2 and they have them at 3. So,
Yeah, well, that's because Providence is mostly Catholic and you all go to church on Saturday, so.
There's also the question about the symphony too. I mean, we haven't confirmed a time with the symphony. That's the big unknown at this point is there a time, when they can make it. So as soon as we square that away, that'll make things a lot easier.
Why don't you, as soon as you send me that information, I will get to them and hash it out with them. And I'm happy to go with what they suggest as the best time, as long as it's not, 6 o'clock at night. We do want to try to maintain as much of a barbershop audience as possible. And of that, 75% of the 180, we don't want to suddenly tell them that, it's going to be later in the day. And if they thought they could support it and then leave, they can't, that kind of thing. So why don't we leave it that Bob will send me the contact as soon as possible. And I'll get to the theater and I'll send you a recap of what they suggest, along with the opportunity for the symphony, what their demands might be. Anything else, Ed?
Nope, that does it for me.
Okay. Let's see how much of this we could get through, and I don't think we need to have a big discussion about spring. Bob, everything, as you said last time, everything is set, so.
Yeah, we're fine. I also wanted to make sure I sent the info to Steve on the registration for the hotel and the links. Did you, I don't know if he's on here. Did you
I'm-
get that, Steve?
I got it.
Okay.
I've got some questions and I'll follow up with
All
you.
right, okay.
And Leadership Academy looks good. David, anything quick on that?
No, registrations are going smoothly. We've had 45 people enrolled. I would expect it's going to pick up a little bit more now that the word is out to Seneca Land District, and probably get a rush after Christmas, before New Year's and around that time, just because of the hubbub of the holidays, things get put off. But
That stuff is legal in Massachusetts now, right?
yeah, what's interesting is of the 11 classes, the most popular classes, I figured membership would be up there, but by the count, membership is 7th on the list. Grant writing is by far the leader of the pack at this point. So from all across the barbershop spectrum. So everything seems to be going smoothly. That's about all I can report at this point.
Good. Thank you, David. I'm trying to zip through to get to Alan. Let's see if we can, Mike, do you have anything particular to report yet? If you had a meeting on the Almena Fund? No.
No, we're gonna meet in January.
Okay. Well, that'll go quickly then, as far as now we're to Alan.
Okay. So I think you all got a copy of our report that we submitted. I think the easiest way to attack this, to discuss it, is if you use the summary table that I provided to everybody. Yes, that exactly. Thank you very much. And if we can just kind of plow through it quickly. Let me just driving force of the committee. The committee was Dan Falcone, who was asked to be there because he is a past district champion and he's also a chorus director and gave us that perspective. Ray Johnson, who has been involved in mixed harmony stuff for quite a while. Linda Muse, who is not only one of the BHS's CAs, but she's also the category specialist for Harmony Incorporated, so she understands that part of it, and yours truly. So as we met several times. Some of the things that we considered, and I just want to reemphasize these, is we wanted to retain awards, as many as we comfortably could, to incentivize choruses and quartets to enter the contest. It really does provide incentive to many of them. Leave opportunities for choruses, irregardless of their size, to be recognized and rewarded for their performance and their improvement. We did, as you will notice, I think have reduced the number of awards, not only from what we actually did this fall, but if I could show you the chart on my wall, from the potential number of awards that we had. We really, unfortunately, need to work within the confines of the software we've got, so that we don't end up with overly large judging panels again. And also, we wanted to do some things to provide more parity in the awards between, especially at the division level, between performers within the division. So those were the kind of the things that drove us. So the table you've got breaks it down. And every division would be the same. Now, within the divisions, some of them have an award like Sunrise for the second place chorus. It's still the same contest. the fact they have an award they give to the second place chorus, which we also have at the district level. The second place chorus gets an award. We haven't eliminated that, but it doesn't add an extra session to the contest. So we retained at the division level, for quartets, all four awards at the division level, so that the highest scoring women's, the highest scoring mixed, the highest scoring men's, and the highest scoring overall would all be recognized. And the note on the side of that is, in the division, we're going to retain the fact that we're going to change it. The highest scoring overall quartet is ineligible to be in the division contest again. Right now, they can be in the contest. If they win, they sit out a year and then they can compete again. We've eliminated that with this, just so everybody's aware of it.
And that's the part that's going to call for an opcode change, right?
Yeah, this all does, because all these awards are in the opcode.
One other question, Alan, before you continue.
Yep.
Has anyone qualified the youth champion ages? That was going to change. Has that changed?
Not that we're aware of.
And the seniors championship, that's for all genders?
That right now it's genderless, yes. Yep. So we get that. The most improved, we're just going to have one most improved award in the division level for quartets. So everybody is in the mix. It's genderless. The thing we're going to change, would like to change, is we're going from the society formula, which, trust me, in most cases, if you really understood what it was doing, makes no sense. And we're going to go most improved based on raw score. So a quartet that improves their score in the division over last year by 10 points beats a quartet that improves their score from last year by 8 points. With the society formula, that may not always happen. Okay. And we want to insert the provision that the quartet really must improve. Right now, it's the one that gets the highest score using the society formula, which could mean, and has meant in some instances, it's the quartet that sucked the least this year. Because nobody improved, but they got the award. So we want to change it so that the quartet must improve to get it. David?
I want to back up just a little bit. For quartet champion, on the line on the table, it says overall ineligible in the future.
All right.
You said that the overall winner is ineligible for future contests.
That's correct.
But in your notes, you have for the men's, mixed, and women's, the highest scoring of those quartets announce only the winner. The winner is ineligible to win in their own division contest again.
Yes.
That sounds contradictory to me.
No, they can't win. For example, a mixed quartet can't win within that mixed quartet thing, but they can continue to compete at the division level in the overall contest.
Okay.
In other words, once you've won it, you're done.
Okay, but they can continue in the overall.
Correct.
Now, what about a men's quartet?
Same thing.
Okay.
They're all the same.
I think semantically, Alan, it would probably be beneficial to use division only to talk about the divisions of the district, as opposed to the men's, mixed, and women, because that's, I think, where the confusion comes in.
Maybe.
It must be, because I didn't understand what you just said, Mike.
Well, you're saying men's division, mixed division, and you got the division, men's division, and the
I didn't. Okay. I didn't call them divisions. I called them sessions.
okay. In your longer report, you called them divisions in the summary.
No, I called it the highest scoring men's quartet in the division contest, not the men's division.
Well, for instance, district contest quartets, I'm on page 3.
I'm not in the district. I'm on the division.
Okay.
There
I'm
is a
just trying to
difference.
point out that the confusion with the words.
Okay. Okay,
So under district contests, you've got overall district quartet champion, then you've got men's district quartet champion and mixed division quartet champion.
okay, I'll fix it because it should be session. Okay. Novice quartet. We felt that at the division level, we would rather encourage the 3 sessions. And so we're eliminating a division novice champion and just having one in the men mixed and women's. And Dan was on the committee. Dan, jump in anytime you want to add something here, okay? And then the rest are just 1 seniors champion. We don't care what, it's genderless. 1 youth champion, it's genderless. And the district qualification clearly is genderless. It's the highest, any quartet that makes the qualifying score. An international qualification, those rules will that is the spring prelims. That falls under the rules of the society. I'll make a note that just for clarity, it's spring prelims.
So Alan, like, I know this is, I'm speaking about districts, but for Division 2, it's like, so are any of them going to have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 anymore? Like, which, how, what? That's, is that just?
Oh, we don't do
particular to
5,
each
4, 3,
division?
2, 1 at divisions.
Okay,
Never have.
I haven't been to very many divisions.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the divisions. Now, again, some of, as I said, like Sunrise has a 2nd place. It doesn't matter. I still honestly believe it'll be several years before we'll get a women's quartet. I just, Sweet Adelines and Harmony Incorporated are really strong here. There's no driving force like there is in some other districts to provide something for the ladies. So I think it'll be a while before we see that. So, okay, so let me just go through and then we can open it up. Division for the choruses. Again, we'll do the same thing, a division chorus champion and then 1 in each of the sessions, all in 1 contest. Small chorus champion overall. The committee felt we didn't care what the gender was. It's the winner of the small choruses. When we get to the plateaus, you'll see that qualification for that may have changed. Again, for the choruses at the division level, more approved, 1 chorus, raw score, and they have to improve. Choruses also, regardless of gender, qualify for the district. And then we have a VLQ champion in the division if they have any VLQs that enter, and it's just 1 regardless of gender. We got rid of a lot of the like small chorus champion. We had it for men, women, and mixed. Most we had it for men, women, so we've eliminated out of those. Going in, they're coming out. District quartet champion, really pretty much the same as the division. There'll be an overall champion, and there'll be 1 in men's and women. And when it says all are ineligible in the future, it means if a quartet wins the men's session, they cannot compete in the men's session again. If they win the men's session, but they don't win the overall championship, they're still eligible for that. Okay, so if you win men's, women, or mixed, it doesn't preclude you from ever competing in the district again. You just can't compete in that session. Most improved, similar to above, raw score, 1 quartet. Novice champion, here we're only rewarding the overall novice champion of the district. We felt that paying attention to the novice champions at the division level is much more important because more of them are there than make it to the district. Senior champion at the district, they would be, if they win, they would be ineligible in the future. And that,
What? What?
yeah, that's what's there now. Because Port City Sound had, well, it's there, you can come back in 2 years, but Port City Sound actually 1 year repeated. So this is when Trade Secret wins the district seniors champion, that's it. Or whoever it is. They're still able to participate in the contest for the international qualification. And then the youth champion, once that quartet has won the championship, we felt that should also be it for that quartet. The last one, let me just go through it quickly here. First of all, in the first line on the table, that should say not quartet champion, it should say chorus champion. And again, we're going to recognize all of them, overall, men's, women's, and mixed. Most improved is just one chorus, irregardless of its genderless. We have one winner in each plateau, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We get international qualification. Somebody told me about the AL, and I see
You got
where
the
it is.
typo, yeah.
Yep. International qualification, that's up to the society and the district VLQ champion. And again, just one, regardless of gender. We spent some time on the plateaus because, as you know, I had made a comment before that going into this fall, we didn't have a plateau triple chorus because our limitations or our definitions of the plateaus was static. It was a number. And we all have seen and witnessed the diminution in size of our chapters. I fully expect that there will be a rebound of some kind as if and when and as we get out of the pandemic. And so we felt doing static numbers was probably just going to continue to cause problems. And we looked at several ways to create plateaus, including reducing the number of plateaus to 2 instead of 3. And what was interesting, it did a spreadsheet that put all of the choruses in order of chapter membership, and then looked at how many choruses in each of those groups we currently had or in that list actually participate in competition. And if you take the top portion of the list, the larger chapters, the participation in contest is virtually 100%. If you take the next group down, the percentage drops off, but it's fairly good. It's fairly large, like 75% of them compete. When you get to the bottom section, which is what was now our plateau A and a little bit into plateau AA, the participation dropped off significantly down to like 40%. So we all, the 4 of us agreed that we wanted to continue to do it based on chapter size at the end of the previous year, like we do now. We did not want to do it based on singers on stage, because some of us seen in other places, what happens is a chorus decides to tell one of their members that they can't sing so that they keep their number in the lower plateau, giving them an opportunity to win. And since we're trying to do encouragement here, didn't want any of that to happen. So what we did was to create 3 plateaus where it's set based on chapter membership at the end of the previous year. It's the bottom plateau is the bottom percent of the chapters by membership size. Plateau AA is the next 30%, and plateau A is the top 20%. When we did that, the number of competitors in each of those 3 plateaus based on recent history is virtually even. So you get a bigger percentage in the 20%, smaller percentage of the 30, and a significantly smaller percent of the 50%. And rough numbers, it came out almost like 9 choruses from each of those 3 plateaus that way. We thought that was as fair as we can make it. And the only other thing that we talked about was if the percentage, if I'm going to try to explain it, if at the break between the top 20% and the next 30%, there were 3 choruses right there, all with the same score. You know, let's say the chorus that's just into Plateau A, not a score, has a membership of 42, and the top 2 at what would be Plateau AA have 42. We would move the 142 down into the lower plateau, so that those choruses are all together. And that's the only difference. So I think, in a nutshell, that's most of it. It does provide all kinds of opportunities for especially new quartets. And the other thing we added, and it was, I'm calling it the Voices United rule, is when they joined the society, they obviously had no membership on December 31st. So I took it as the membership they had when they reported their chartering. So that's what we've written into these rules. If a new chapter joins, their plateau is based on the number at the time of chartering. I don't think anybody on the C&J team wants to go hunting down new. It was hard enough to find out from the society how many members they with, and the number I got from them was different than the number that Voice United thought they had at chartering, and he had an opinion. So this way is to just say, get the number from the society. They're the arbiter. That's it.
Alan, I want to thank you and the committee for great work here. I know there's going to be questions and comments.
I'd
My
be
initial
disappointed if
comment-
there weren't.
Yeah, my initial comment is, after all of the explanation, and I find myself explaining to our own chapters or chapters that I visit all the time, what's a division? Never mind what's a plateau. With all the effort, do we really feel that the plateaus are valuable? Do we have courses that say, boy, I'm going to St. John so I can win Plateau AA? I guess that's my biggest question with all of that. Because I think most general barbershoppers, and probably several that are here on the call tonight on the board, never really knew how plateaus worked.
You still don't, and I explained it, so it's okay. Dan, do you want to jump in on this?
I just feel as a small chorus director, it's something to say that you are the top small chorus in New England rather than in the district, instead of just saying, oh, I'm the top in Granite and Pine. So that's important to me. And we wanted to give awards to as many people as we could without going crazy with the number of sessions.
And David, sorry, you had your hand up.
Going back to the plateaus, when you talk about doing the membership as of the active membership, I guess, as of the end of December at year end, hopefully that's just for the viable chapters only, because there are a number of chapters that the society still hangs on to that haven't existed for years. And is it all viable chapters, or is it just those that compete?
No, it's all of them.
Okay.
So that's going to be skewed by that number that David's talking about. In other words, if the society is hanging on to it, 8 or 9 chapters aren't really there, wouldn't that skew the bottom end of it?
No, because I didn't count them in doing the spreadsheet.
Yeah, because you have to go through each chapter and look at the district report, and you have to look and see what each chapter's active roster is.
Correct.
And so it's a little tricky, but
Right.
it can be done. It's easy to do, but it's time consuming. I'll be happy to help you with that, Alan, if you want, at the end of this year.
Other
I have a
questions?
quick question to throw out. Yeah, I have a quick question to throw out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I noticed that Dan just mentioned being the small chorus champion in the district, and I'm wondering if maybe the issue is more if there's just going to be two plateaus, does the plateau A, plateau double A, or whatever it is, does that carry the same weight as maybe changing the name of it to make it sound more like something that makes sense to people that understand, maybe small chorus champion of the district or something along those lines?
Well, I can tell you, I know there's a lot of choruses, especially I think the small chorus stands right, but even in the double A, there are choruses in that double A plateau now that just have sort of resigned themselves. I mean, history has shown that they're not going to be able to compete at a level with some of the choruses at the upper level. And this just gives them another opportunity to come away with an award for that group of all the chapters in the district.
I think he's talking about changing the name, like maybe saying small
name?
chorus, medium chorus, and large chorus.
We can do that. We can
That's
make one
more
we can make one
understandable.
the Scott Domeratius Memorial Chorus.
I like that.
I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah. By the way, we got rid of, just so you know, one of the things we got rid of is the Great Small Chorus Champion, which has been given out in the fall, and it's the highest scoring small chorus from the spring. Okay, so we got rid of that because one, we didn't think waiting 6 months to get an award probably worthwhile, and that chorus is not at the district contest to receive the award. So we're still awarding small choruses by division to that one.
Well, the Cape Cod chapter is not going to be happy because they came up with a trophy for the small chorus champion to be presented in the fall.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out.
Alan, going back to the quartet champion ineligible in the future, they still can enter for the purpose.
The district or the division?
Division. They can still enter for the purpose of district qualification and also for most improved.
Oh yeah, that's a separate section.
That's still the same. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, David, go ahead.
Was any consideration with your team, was any consideration given to just a single contest for quartets, single contest for choruses, as we have had in the past?
No, because the software doesn't support it. And it ends up costing the district more money.
I don't understand.
Well, you run the fall convention. You mean one contest like in the spring for the quartets and one in the fall for the choruses?
Without consideration for men, mixed, or
gender.
Or gender, I guess. A single genderless contest. Was any thought given to that?
Sure.
No. Well, we did, yeah. I mean, it was, but how much thought? How? I don't think we were terribly serious about it.
We wanted to give awards to the most people we could without overwhelming the sessions. So we thought giving an award to the categories as well, instead of having just the one contest, was a way to award and recognize folks at all different kinds of quartets or choruses.
Because
the overall champion that's declared, right? Whichever subsession they're involved in, right?
Yes, I understand that. But in my mind, anything other than a single genderless contest with these separate lanes or separate sessions for different gender groupings feels like a taint of exclusivity rather than inclusivity. And I'm disappointed, I guess, in that.
I don't understand that, David. How can providing opportunities?
No,
for-
I'm not saying just, it's not about opportunity. It's it's a matter of just entering a contest as a barbershop entity, as an ensemble. Should it make a difference that it's male, mixed, or?
They can enter the overall contest and not enter one of the other ones.
Maybe one way, if I could, because I think I maybe can help with David, because it comes back to that question about 5-4-3-2 now in district level. Are we going to do 5-4-3-2 at district level? And is that going to be done like for each gender or
No.
just
Overall.
do it all?
Overall.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I guess there's because I think I'm picking up what David's laying down, which is if everything were kind of oriented, in my mind, if everything were kind of oriented around the overall contest, and then there were kind of like side contests, I think you're heading really close to that, except that you're making the top men's, mixed, and women's ineligible at the quartet level, because that rather than that being an award for being, you know, within that subcategory, just like being in plateau A, being in men, like there's different, you know, I mean, there's different kind of qualities that people have. Having everything kind of focused on the overall seems like a really good direction based on the everyone in harmony stuff, and seems more inclusive to me, I guess, too. Is that, I mean, David, I'm
Yep,
I don't have quite the right language. I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Alan, if say a mixed quartet is the overall champion, would they get a trophy for champion in the mixed quartet and also a overall champion trophy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Just like, and I would say that's very similar for me, it should be similar to the way we do plateau A trophies as well as overall trophies in the chorus, for instance. You know, I mean, we do award multiple trophies for being a winner in multiple categories. Like that's fine. It's just that, but being ineligible, I guess what I'm kind of wondering is, like, especially in like these very small pools, like very small women's pool, you know, not very big mixed pool, are people, since they're going to be ineligible. One thing I've heard is that's difficult from some of the people who fit into this category is that if you're marked ineligible, but you're not quite to international standards yet, there's sometimes not much of an incentive for really, like, what do I do? You're in this nowhereville. You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna win any prizes, and you're not gonna make it to international. And sure, you're competing and you're performing, and that's fun. But you, like you say, people want to be recognized as well.
They could still go for the overall champion.
Only once, right?
Yeah. But
Say
that's
they
the same
won
for-
overall.
That's what's currently going on.
Right.
Well, so this year, for instance, you know, we had people. I mostly intentionally, you know, so we had one chorus that was qualified for international. All the other choruses, even if they, you know, so I'm going to use chorus as my example because I know the numbers, but this could happen in quartets too, where only one quartet goes, but someone wins. And I guess to your point, they could keep going for overall as well.
It just remember, winning the district quartet contest is what we're talking about. It doesn't preclude them from continuing to compete for qualification for international. They could keep coming back for that as many times as they want.
Well, because international prelims, but
Right.
is going to have different rules.
Right. So,
But if there were like
that's-
two mixed quartets, and so one wins this year, and then, you know, next year they're, you know, it like, I'm not sure.
Glenn,
I
maybe,
think,
maybe if we use some of the names, let's just, I know this is being recorded, but they'll forgive us. So for example, Queen's Gambit was the highest scoring mixed quartet. And they
right, and
beat,
second overall, right?
right, and they beat the other mixed quartet that came in third.
No, they beat two of
Right.
them.
Right, well, I'm saying the one that came in third,
Yeah,
which
but-
is,
Okay.
Indigo.
so, right, if Queen's Gambit would even though they would have won under this situation, would have won the mixed championship, they can still come back next year to compete for the overall.
Correct.
I want to make sure that everybody's understanding that.
Right.
A men's quartet could win the men's division next year, and I know we don't want to use those words, but and not win the contest. Let's say Square Root came in second to Queen's Gambit this year. So if we were under these rules, Square Root, even though they were the men's champion, would still come back next year to try to win the overall.
Right.
So there's always going to be that opportunity until you win the overall championship, you're able to compete, which is the way it has been for 75 years.
Right.
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah. I guess so. What are there plans about announcing the second place men's district quartet, for instance? Like, is there going to be an emphasis on that? Because I think that takes away from. I guess
No,
I think
no.
okay. Good.
In the
that's
in the
good.
men's,
Okay,
women,
that
and
makes me
mixed, all it is the winner.
Okay.
And in the
It might be
division,
interesting in this chart to talk about like X to X plus 5. I don't know if that's helpful because it would clarify something. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to make work for you. I just.
So they'll be reading this the way I understand it. If this were in effect next year, based on what happened this year, Square Root would be the overall champion. Queen's Gambit would be the mixed champion and allowed to compete next year for the overall. Queen's Gambit also would have been the second place quartet. And the Berkeley quartet would have been the third place quartet. And down the line. Having nothing to do with gender.
right.
Yeah, and I think that's a great direction. Like that we're basically concentrating on genderless like ranking.
Yeah.
Basically.
The big prize is genderless.
But now, David, you had more, I guess. Is that do you feel better after that discussion or?
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't mind a mention of people that in their own particular department or category, a mixed women's or men's, if it's not the overall winner, getting just announced as that, but that would show up in your scoring summaries anyway. I just it's just where I've been rooted since Everyone in Harmony came out and have not seen anything coming very close. This is close to a genderless contest, but it's just something that I've been rooted to from the beginning of Everyone in Harmony and the consideration of how it affects contests.
And I don't think the society is going to provide us with a shining example of that, David, because they're going, as my understanding is, they're going to keep the senior quartet championship men only.
Okay, well.
And I think that's much worse than anything we've done.
Well, what it's done is it's splintered all sorts of different mindsets around this. Everyone in Harmony, and for that reason, I really was unimpressed with the rolling out of Everyone in Harmony because they just didn't think far enough down the road, and we're seeing the result of that. here now. This should have been settled at least a year ago, year and a half at least. So I understand what people are saying, but I just feel a little disappointed that we're not going that way. That's all.
So I have a question on this, and that would be the men's barbershop, women's barbershop, and mixed barbershop are really three distinctly different sounds. I mean, the chord structures are different, and that's just because of the physics of the sound. And it seems to me that when you're trying to put them all in one contest session, so to speak, it's more a matter of comparing apples and oranges and deciding whether, well, that was good. Well, I guess the apples win this year. Maybe the oranges win next year. And whatever pressure there's going to be to have one or the other win in a specific year to even things out. That's kind of something that concerns me a bit, as opposed to, having the individuals.
I'd like to respond to that.
Mhm.
Scott, the judges have said that they are able to judge all groups equally, whatever timbre they have. I think if you look at the categories and what they're looking for, there is nothing that specifies it would be one kind of sound or another. And the fact that sometimes you might have the guys quartet win 3 years in a row and not have the mixed quartet win. That's just the factor of how the scores came out, and I don't think you can read into that.
Okay.
Other comments?
Ed wants to say something.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
see everyone on the screen, so speak up.
Yeah. So, did the committee take into account the feelings of those who are our competitors that are competing in either mixed or all female quartets or choruses, and what their thoughts are about this? I've gotten the impression and I haven't really talked to anybody. I've just seen some few emails that have been forwarded on to me or whatever, that at least from those who are participating in the mixed choruses and mixed quartets, they're very, very strongly in favor of a one contest format. And I think what Alan has put out here is a good compromise in that we are recognizing an overall best. And I think that's what they were alluding to. They didn't want to be compared with, just all of the women or all of the mixed quartets. They want to be compared with the best of the best or the overall contest. So I was just wondering if and so I think, this is a pretty good compromise that allows for that. And it gives you plenty of opportunities, to win the overall contest. And I think that's good. So, and I was just wondering if the committee ever considered anybody or got any input from any of our mixed or female competitors about this.
Ray Johnson was on our committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Ray.
Right.
Okay.
He was happy with this compromise. He also liked the fact that Neapolitan could come back to compete for the overall quartet champion at the district level.
Okay.
Now, Alan, I know time is flying here. The next process for this is we need to get this to the House of Delegates, right?
Correct.
So can you just review a timetable to make sure that everyone on the board understands that we're not voting on this tonight. It has to go to the House of Delegates.
Right. We were hoping that if nobody had major angina over this, that we could do a special HOD meeting sometime late in January. The date for entry of the spring contests will start sometime around the 10th or 15th of February. So I think to be able to implement this year, we need to get it in front of the House of Delegates prior to that in enough time that we can make adjustments to the contest entry.
So do we want to suggest that Friday night, January 28th, we talked about beginning of the meeting as the House of Delegates, followed up by our own board meeting 2 nights later?
That would be fine.
Any, can we take this down so I can see faces?
Yep.
Glenn, I don't know who did you put this
I
up?
got it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Scott, you look very nice tonight. Anybody have a concern or comment with us going forward doing that? Alan would need to word the invitation to the House of Delegates meeting and what they would be expected to see that night and be ready to vote on, I would guess.
Yeah, and I've got to get it to Glenn before.
Yeah,
the
it means you
20
got to get ops code written in like 8 days.
Yeah, we've already done a lot of it, Glenn.
Okay, good. Because that sounds like a big tall order.
Yeah, no.
But doesn't Mark Schoenfrey get involved in that too?
I'll pass it by him. He doesn't understand the contest system. I'm not going to let him word it.
We agree on that.
Okay.
I'd be happy to take a look at it for editing purposes, Alan, if that's helpful.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me fix the edits I've already got, Mike.
One thing I want to throw out there that we might consider to be more inclusive. I know some with men's, women's, and mixed is basically defined as men's and women's. We do have members that don't feel like they fit in any of those categories. So potentially we could add a fourth. I'd have to think about what the right term, but basically.
Good luck.
I'm happy to do the research with some folks that are, don't really identify as either male or female. I don't know that we'd have a lot of entries in that, but I think for the purposes
could we just rename mixed to be like
that's possible
genders
too, yeah.
or something like that?
If you
that
don't
seems
fit
more,
in 1 or 2, you belong to 3.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
Well, mixed doesn't necessarily mean binary.
No.
Right.
That's how it's
I don't know if
interpreted
there's
by a
any
lot of
instructions to
non-binary
say it.
folks. So.
Yeah. But it might be better to come up with a word that maybe doesn't. If mixed does have an association with a set of 2, picks from.
If no one's married to the word mixed, I'm happy to do a little research and make a proposal for a change.
Or phrase it, put the right phrasing in the ops code for what mixed means. Yeah.
You're talking to the wrong guy because I'm old enough. I don't give a crap if I'm politically correct or not.
Okay, anything else? We delayed Alan here from getting to his next project.
Yeah, I got another 2-hour call.
I think it was a lot of work and it was well done. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
And
you, Dan.
ladies.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alan.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, I'm going to blow out of
I
here.
think it's
Thank you,
a big
guys.
step in the right direction.
All right, good. We can talk about Alan. He'll be on in a minute.
All you want. Have a great time. Glenn, don't take notes.
The recording's going. Thank you, Alan. The next subject was going to be part of what I was going to talk about with Alan in the future convention format and so forth, but we will forego that unless someone has something on it specifically for now until the next meeting. Could call for some changes in how we handle things. So, hey, everybody okay with going on? Okay.
As long as it's not going to be important for that ops meeting, right? I mean,
No.
it's not, you're talking ops changes, yeah. So
No, it wouldn't be in the ops code. It would be a matter of a logistical lineup, that kind of thing. John's not here for the budget, but we saw his note. Future convention expenses, once again, this is mostly Alan that he and I have been talking about this. I think it's important that we realize as a board of directors that just because something is put in a budget and this massive budget gets approved, a preponderance of which Bob Bradley is involved and Alan, they're probably way more than 50% of the budget. They're probably more like 75% of the budget. And I'll get a shocking, if you will, voucher request for the hospitality room for the judges of $656.89 for snacks. This is not meals. Now, there are lots of those kinds of things that come up. It cost us almost $1,000 to have a person drive the judges back and forth. Now, all of this stuff is not a surprise to us. It's in the budget. But when you see it broken down into vouchers, all of a sudden you say to yourself, wait a minute, it cost us $526 for Kirk to drive the judges back and forth. And you see those kind of breakdowns. I think we should be aware of that. And we need to start to say, so between driving the judges and their snacks, it was over $2,000 of district money. Now, am I the only one that's surprised by that? I'm the only one that's surprised?
No, that seems.
The driving the judges part is definitely surprising.
Because you take into consideration that a driver is housed by the convention team, so that's a room that's charged to the district. And then the rental of transportation and other things. It's a lot of money, people. And I think it's something that we should be paying attention to. I alluded to it earlier. There's nothing I can do after the fact when a van is rented and you know, the tolls and the gas and the rental charges and all that come in, and it's just staggering sometimes. So I just want us to be aware. Nothing we can do about it tonight, but I do want us to be aware that when we take a look at the next budget, that we might want to just say, okay, conventions are going to cost us $60,000, and we don't. Okay, that's what it costs us. But then when you start to see the individual things that go into it, there's a lot of money there. Just my 2 cents worth. Anybody have a comment, or we're just moving on? Okay, I'll move on.
And now, if you
Jim,
looked at this, the van in particular has something that's evolved. Even if we've had host chapters on these, we've had problems on getting the judges from point A to point B. And we decided that, or certainly speaking with Alan, years ago, that the idea of having them move together made a lot more sense. I mean, if there were times when we were chasing them around venues, trying to find out where the drivers were, and the judges were getting upset, sitting, waiting for some car to come that never came. That was how some of the stuff has evolved. The $600, I remember when I first started this, they used to do home cooked things for the judges, and they wanted special kinds of wine, special kinds of beer. It was getting a bit out of hand. Those judges, we don't really get them anymore. So I think that, you know, if we sit down and talked about some of these expenses, certainly Alan and I can explain how some of this stuff evolved. It might seem high, but there was a particular reason for it. And one of them was the problem has always been the transportation of the judges. If the venue is any kind of a distance from the hotels, that's always been a problem. And the solution was to be able to move them at once. And that was how this came about.
Jim, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on the snack portion. I was surprised at the amount, but from my recollection, if you got the snacks through the hotel, they were much more expensive than bringing in your own. I don't know what the process is today, but yeah, we used to just bring in homemade stuff as well. We never even asked about preferred wines and that kind of stuff. But, they took what we provided.
I want to make sure that everyone's, I'm not trying to nitpick and I'm not trying to put blame on anyone. I just want us to be aware.
I think it's a definite difference if you get the snacks through the hotel or you can bring them in yourself.
Yeah, we have tried to work it out almost with every hotel that we bring in the stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't use the hotel's catering for that, because you're right, it got way too expensive to try to get it from the hotels. You know, if you've ever opened up the mini bars, it gets a little carried away. And those of the wine and the special beer and all have gone from our have gone from us. So
Of course, I'm talking about 10, 12 years ago, whatever. It's a lot more.
Sure. We used to bring them clam chowder too.
Yeah. Right.
Welcome to New England, and here's your clam chowder. We used to do a lot of things for them that we don't do anymore.
Steve, I saw your hand up.
You pretty much answered my question. Sorry, I was a little premature putting it up. I just, the very first thing that pops into my mind is, having one location for everything. Keep it to a hotel, use a ballroom, have the 1 or 2 restaurants available right there in the complex. Everybody walks to wherever they want to go. I mean, overall for everybody, it's a lot easier thing. I know that's easier said than done. And I also know that our conventions are usually kind of small for those kinds of facilities. So I just, that's one remedy. The other was the catering, which I thought, gee, knock out the transportation, have a separate catering company if you can, but a lot of venues won't let you have a separate caterer. So I know that we're up against a bunch of constraints, but
so we're trying to move the venues closer to the hotels in order to save some of that. If you looked at Lake George, where we plan to use the high school, we use the hotel directly across the street, and we could walk them across. When we use the Eastern at Cape Cod, we're all under one roof.
Right, exactly.
Queensbury, we're diagonally across from the hotel. The ease of moving the judges will be a lot better. So that's a consideration with venue. We have a problem in Portland, which in Portland has the highest attendance of basically any of our district contests. People seem to like going to Portland, and there's a long distance between the hotels and between the venue. So it depends on where we go. We tried to find closer venues, but the expense was absolutely fantastic.
Right.
In Portland.
So you're
So
juggling.
yeah, we've been trying to keep that in mind, to keep them as close as we possibly can.
I just have this vision of Queensbury as like, well, the judges don't want to walk across the street, so we're going to have to hire a van to drive them just across the street.
Or we'll get some board members with cars and pile.
Yeah,
them
there
in.
you go. Yeah, I'll bring my trailer.
All right, see, there you go.
All right. I had asked Sebi to be online with us tonight because I wanted to talk some NEDAC stuff with the board. I want the board to understand what NEDAC is. And Sebi is the current president. I guess he didn't make it, so we'll table that for now. Steve.
Gee, what a surprise. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, dear.
Was there ever any documentation of NEDAC's formation that could be viewed?
1988 was the year that I started it. And we did come up with a, with something that had to be registered with the district at the time as an association or an associate organization. But I have no idea whatever happened to that paperwork or where it is. And I wouldn't begin to know where to look, because unfortunately 1988 certainly wasn't,
Computer.
nobody had a flash drive with it on it back then. I might have had a floppy disk.
Punch cards.
So unfortunately, Dan, I don't know. I mean, there was a definite organization, and we put something together and presented it to international. Now, it might be an idea. Maybe I could see if someone can do some digging there. But do you have a specific reason you're asking, or just?
I wondered if there was a gendered word in the formation of the group.
I'm sure there was, because no one thought otherwise at that time. So I'm sure the word men is probably scattered through whatever was done back in 1988.
Or maybe they just said it, you know, they didn't even need to say it because it was all men's society at the time.
Sure.
So maybe what I'm saying is, if it's not even written in there, that's a point. It could be a point in the other direction too.
It could be, and one of the reasons I wanted to be here is because I think obviously, if we're going the direction we started going tonight, NEDAC cannot mean, and it doesn't say anywhere in there, men's champions. NEDAC could mean champions of the Northeastern District, you know, which is what it says. So I think we do need to have a little bit of a study go in that direction.
Just one thing, Mike, while we were on that topic, I think Dan and I think it was Dan, myself, and Brian O'Leary, when we did the mission statement for NED, there was a big discussion on that about making it sexless. And I believe if you looked at the mission statement the way it is, it's men. And I think that has to be looked at, and it's, you know, one word changed, or, you know, change men to, you know, everyone in harmony, or however we'd want to do it. But
You're talking about
I believe our district mission statement is men.
I thought we changed all that 2 years ago.
I don't know. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah. I'm 99.9. Ed, you were involved with that, I think, when it happened.
Yeah, I do specifically remember at an HOD meeting when that topic was brought up, not only with the mission statement, but throughout our ops code, to go through and
Right.
make a genderless. And I think we did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Glenn, I don't know if you have any comment on this last agenda item here, but we at one time had conversation about how just like 1988 NEDAC rules might have changed, and the Almeno Fund should probably change. The 50-mile rule should probably change.
Yes, that would be, yeah, I would definitely like to work on a change for that.
What is the
Basically,
50-mile rule?
If two chapters within 50 driving miles of each other are having a show, that there's basically the secretary like starts a mediation process, which so that the second requesting chapter has to ask permission from the chapter that claimed the date first, to make sure that they're okay, that they accept like that there could be another show on that day. And I understand that it was the spirit of the rule is good, and I'm sure it was caused by a problem that was real. But I think in the modern time, like between Chris and I think even Antonio, generally there hasn't been an objection by the choruses, and it's kind of just a little bit of formality. And there aren't that many weekends, you know, so there is a competition in some ways for weekends and which weekends people want to have shows. So I mean, in some ways, I'd like to only keep it so that you can't conflict with district events, but not worry about inter-chapter events unless there's a problem, I guess. Or turn it the other way, turn it into a reverse, where if a chapter wants to raise an objection. I don't know how to do it.
Right, I think that back in the day, it was not uncommon. I can remember growing up where I would go to the Brockton show on one weekend, and then I would go to the Canton show the next weekend and see 99% of the same audience there. And that was part of the problem back in the day, that the audience, the barbershop audience, would travel from show to show. I don't think we have anywhere near that kind of thing happening now. I'm sure Providence could have a show, and Greater Boston could have a show, and even though we're not 50 miles apart, you wouldn't see the same people in the audience. So you want to put some wording together and see if we can get that. It shouldn't take much to put the wording together. See if we can get that done on the same, because I would think that has to be op code change too. Dan, you okay? Saw you being attacked by a tail. Well, I see Sebi has joined us. We were just about to adjourn, Sebi. We talked about you though. And basically, welcome. First off, nice lights in the background there. Very nice, nice touch. Is that really yours, or did you find somebody's house that you would look appropriate in?
Oh, it's my place.
Okay. We talked briefly about NEDAC. There are going to be lots of changes coming for how we handle competitions. And one of the things I wanted to do at the time was just have you be able to answer questions about NEDAC. And one of the questions that came up was Dan wanted to know if you're aware of any paperwork involved with NEDAC's mission statement or rules and regulations or anything like that. I know there was some originally back in the 80s, but I don't know where that's gone at, so bring us up to date.
So that's, if I understand you correctly, that's a question of what language currently exists, or is there any language that currently exists? Am I understanding the question? So aside from the probably initial kind of writings that Mike is describing, which I don't have current record of, our kind of unofficial secretary, Antonio, may have that language somewhere, but other than that, we don't have those things. That's something that I've been talking about in individual conversations with NEDAC members about how we can start to put together, kind of just like we have a committee to talk about how we will handle the changes on the contest side. And that's headed up by Dan Costello, who will be helping us through that process. Just like we have a committee that is engaged in that, the hope is that we will have another committee that will help draft current language that will help us more comprehensively understand what it is NEDAC wants to be. It's obviously, it's not the 80s, and we have an opportunity to redefine what we are and how we serve the district. So the goal is to bring together another group, another subcommittee to help do that and then guide that process forward. I would venture a wager and say that part of this will be, to a degree, some of this will be predicated on what happens in the contest structure and how we determine membership for NEDAC. Because if we start drafting language today that says NEDAC is an all-male group, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves if the contest structure will change and our membership will change, so it's a matter of putting your cart before your horse.
We did have most of the meeting tonight was about the future contest changes, and we are going to have a House of Delegates meeting on the 29th of January, Friday night, which will
28th.
look at overall overall winners in our contest cycle, which is going to obviously impact what NEDAC represents. So wanted you to be aware of that. And also, if any people have any concerns or questions or what NEDAC is doing, the opportunity for Sebi to answer those questions. Anybody have anything for Sebi? Although we covered most of it earlier, but
Yes, please load the big guns and fire them at me.
I don't see a plethora. Oh, damn, no.
I just
I
thought
need
I had
that
heard,
memo.
I would have heard something by now, and I haven't heard anything about what the subcommittee that was formed has done in the past month and a half. And
Sure.
guess it's-
So
yeah.
I can speak to that. The initial call, the initial Zoom call that we had on the subcommittee was about process. So NEDAC has essentially determined the process that we're going to use to move forward, but that was all contingent upon knowing more about the direction that international is going to take. And Mike, I will ask you a question because I feel like I'm hearing something that I haven't heard yet, which is BHS at some level giving each district their own ability to determine how they award you know what I'm going at here.
Yeah. Quite frankly, it's always been up to the districts. There are some districts that do things very different. You know, there are districts that have district course champions that have nothing to do with going to international. There are district quartets that are, you know, crowned. There are quartets that compete in the fall for international versus the spring. So districts can do things differently. Alan made a presentation tonight of a committee made up of Dan Falcone and Ray Johnson and Linda.
Muse.
Yep. And they have a proposal, which we're going to have on that House of Delegates meeting, to go with a genderless championship. I'm summarizing an hour and a half discussion into 30 seconds, but that's basically it.
I would say, if it is possible, Mike, for you and I offline to at least for me to get that presentation in some form.
Actually, what I'm going to do, to interrupt Sebi, is I'm going to have Dan work with you because he's on that committee. So let him, rather than me and playing middleman, Dan can, you can go direct to the horse.
So Mike, I have a question. Is how public is what we just discussed tonight at our meeting? Like, are these minutes go public, right? Isn't that what happens
it's
after
a public
this?
meeting. Yeah, we didn't go to executive session, so it's public.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, particularly since we have to react within like 8 days to get the House of Delegates meeting out, I think it's going to be pretty public pretty quick.
Okay.
So, and the reason I asked that question is because NEDAC's stance was essentially, we have a process, but a lot of that is predicated on where we end up as a district. So if that's going to be presented shortly to the House of Delegates and voted on, we NEDAC will have an answer about how the district will be awarding in contest, at which point we will take on the actual process of bringing our membership together, letting each side make their arguments for and against, and shepherding as many people as possible into a vote. I'm also boiling down a long meeting that this NEDAC committee had about how we will proceed. But our big thing was, we didn't want to jump the gun. We wanted to wait and see. So it sounds like we will have an answer soon about that, at which point we will get our butts in gear.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there will be, if the vote goes forward, and the proposal that we saw tonight gets enacted, there will be lots of NED Act champions. And NED Act, just, you know, maybe the name is already correct and maybe there's no need to change it. Because it doesn't say anything about male or anything else.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where that vote ends up. I will make sure that Dan and I link up offline so that this proposal, before it gets in front of the House of Delegates, gets in front of our committee chairman, Dan Costello, so that he is aware before we start getting in gear again, because he's leading that process. I just want to make sure that we know, at least the people who are in charge of running this process know before it's out, like Dan said and Glenn said, you know, before it's out in the district, and people start firing left and right, because I'm sure that there will be, depending on how that vote goes, there will be some opinions, I'm sure.
We are not usually short on opinions. All right, thank you, Sebi. Thank you for coming in. Anybody have anything else as we down on the officers list? That anybody needs to mention? Yes, Mr. David.
A couple things. Excuse me. Last Sunday, we had our chapter presidents forum meeting of the 44 of the 44 viable chapters in the district. We had 22 presidents attending, along with some board members and division managers. Great session, a great presentation by Joe Cerruti that was well received. And another thing that's coming up that's going to be a problem, which is a problem just about every year end, is chapter officer roles on Member Center. We end up with chapters with no current officers as of January 1st, and it creates a problem because nobody can update roles after January 1st if there's nobody that's current at that point. Of the 44 viable chapters in the district, 16 chapters have nothing upcoming for chapter roles for January 1st. Of those, there are 4 people on the call tonight. You may want to mention this to your chapter leaders. The Dartmouth chapter, the Manchester, Connecticut chapter, the Plattsburgh chapter, and the Portland chapter. You have nobody listed as upcoming.
I'll be taken care of next Monday night.
Okay, good enough. You all heard that. So I won't put you on the list, Jim. But I'm going to be sending out, and that is as of this afternoon. So I'm going to be sending out an email with instructions to a lot of the.
Oh, David, with that beard and you're making naughty and nice lists, is there something else you'll yell tonight?
No, that's my job. I work only the naughty side. All right. Well, I did the nice side earlier, but see, you threw me off my train of thought. Anyway, came off the rails. But
well, David, just to back up to what you said, Doug and Diane, are you able to touch base those chapters in your areas?
Well, the underlying problem is that probably most of these chapters have not had their board elections yet. I see Marshall moving his lips and nodding his head. So it looks like the Portland chapter, I already know who those people are. So why aren't they taken care of? Anyway, it's something that we have to monitor, and I try to do it every year. So anyway, thank you. That's all.
Any other vice presidents? Yes, Steve.
I was just saying, and we want them to sign up for Leadership Academy, the new people.
Well, I sent out an email earlier this week to encourage chapter officers, and I included the upcoming officers from the district, from Member Center's district reports. We get a list of those that are upcoming, and they were also included in the reminder and encouraging message to sign up for Leadership Academy.
Steve, anything else, or was that okay? Anybody else Mike or Dan or Diane? We're all good?
I just have a question for David. David, for Online Leadership Academy, you have multiple classes running at the same time, right?
No,
Or you don't? So you're okay with just the one?
they're all
you
consecutive,
can-
nothing concurrent.
Thanks for
Gotcha.
reading my email there, Mike.
When,
I very clearly delineated that no classes are coinciding. So
my apologies, Steve.
that's okay. I just try to be
I just
clear.
want to make sure David was okay with Zoom accounts.
Obviously, I didn't make it clear enough, so I got to work on that.
Talk louder and slower.
There you go.
I was going to really muddy up the waters with Alan on his table. And say, you know, Alan, we have something in our op code about a district comedy quartet champion.
Ooh.
Sometimes they don't go in with that intention, but
And there's nothing on there about that, you know. Anyone have anything else for the good of the district? I want to thank you for coming on this busy holiday time and taking the time to be helping out and sharing your thoughts. We have a lot of work to do in a short amount of time for some of us to be ready for that House of Delegates meeting. Glenn, I don't know if you need anything from me, but we're officially going with Friday night.
Yeah, I'll work on my thing and send it to you maybe just for review, but I think it's pretty straightforward. And then
Okay.
just work with Alan to get the ops moving.
Steve, so
Just remind me again what the date and time is for that special HOD meeting.
Friday night, the 28th. Did I say the 29th when I was talking?
Yes,
to
that's
Chevy?
why I
You did
wanted.
earlier, but that's okay. Yeah.
Okay,
time?
thank you.
What time though, Mike? I didn't get the time.
7 o'clock, I
7?
think, has been our time.
Eastern.
So why don't we leave it at that? Eastern.
Okay, yeah.
Friday the
Yeah.
28th at 7.
Correct.
Thank you.
We're all good?
we're all good.
Good.
Dan and Sebi are staying on the line, is that correct? Okay, the rest of us will leave.